Welcome back, everybody. We're going to just give people about 15 seconds or whatever it takes just to get on board, to sign in and get everybody in one place. I just want to say my favorite thing is this interaction with, certainly with Cindy was fantastic. And I love that dialogue because it evolves. And, there were some challenging things that we discussed, I think. And which brings me to the panelist Q&A, because I think we was just talking with Junko a little bit about it. She had some questions and I'm hoping, putting her on the spot now, but I'm hoping that she will bring those up during the panel discussion. So that's gonna make everybody come back, I'm hoping. So, all right, I think I'm ready to introduce our next speaker, who is Junko Mori. Junko Mori is a Japanese-born, Wales-based artist. We were just looking out her window at some beautiful stuff. She's a Wales-based artist and maker who has specialized in metal for more than 2 decades. She is perhaps best known for her amazingly intricate metal sculpture, masses of repeated elements, hand forged in sterling and silver, and recently in bronze, one of my favorite metals. Her work can be found in public collections of the UK, Great Britain, Australia, Germany, and the US. Please welcome Junko Mori. Junko, stage is yours.
Can I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. Am I on it already? Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting. This is a little bit amazing fruits of a pandemic, like someone like me based in North Wales can join this symposium in Seattle. Fantastic. Thank you very much for invitation. Okay, just crack on. What is this next? Hang on, I can't move this. Oh, hang on. Oh yes, sorry. So I originally from Japan, Yokohama, which is the south side of Tokyo, and then I'm really fortunate. I grown up surrounded by beautiful nature, and even though I can take train to get to the Tokyo city center, Shibuya, only like a half an hour. So my childhood was very mud and digging ground and within the row of a potato and strawberries, and my stubborn neighbor, the farmer, never sort of release his land for residential purposes. So they have this land as a veg patch, and then just on the top left-hand side corner, that window is my bedroom. When I was little, it's about when I was 8 or 9, microscope was introduced in the biology class lesson in the primary school, and I kind of sort of since my hobby became collecting dirty green pond water. Dirty is better. Dirty, the term of dirty is questionable, but yeah, greener or gooier water is better because you find so many creatures there. And my brother got microscope one Christmas, and then basically I nicked it and I start using it in my room. Then I start drawing. One day I saw this something probably hatching the egg or dividing themselves. I have no clue, but something happened through the microscope. I witnessed this propagating themselves, and I loved it. And then just a bit spooky at the same time. So I kind of sort of wanted start sort of draw the phenomenon of growth of organic matter. Then I learned in the biology lesson about cell division also. It's kind of sort of coinciding around that age time. And then this is kind of my drawing. When I draw things, I don't have a preconceived design beforehand. I just start one component just to multiply in front of me, and then when I found beautiful form or shape or movement, I just kind of stop. Yeah, so I could carry on forever, but this drawing is just only A4, just normal copy paper, and I just doodle when I got time. Yes, so that's kind of origin of my art. And then when I was probably already age 10, I wanted to be an artist, but I didn't know with what, you know, what material or what medium I'm gonna do. But I always wanted 3D, kind of making was always parts of my life. So I applied for 3D design, industrial interior craft design course in Musashino Art University in Tokyo. And then I got in, and then, so when end of second year, I chose a crafts course, and then I fell in love. No, it's not true, actually fell in love. I frustrated the metal the most, because this course was brilliant. I could experiment with the ceramic, plastic that time as well, and those wood, textile, and the metal. The metal was probably the most hardest and really irritating material for me. And then it sounds really big-headed, but I kind of sort of could do well with other material, but metal was just tough. Like a bit like a boyfriend, girlfriend, if it's easy to get, you don't want to chase anymore. So this one was the hardest one, metal. So since my pursuit with the metal began, and then on the third year, the first time there was no, so up to that year, there was so many brief, like making cups or paper knife or basic vase, hand raising, cupper, all sorts of things you have to do, basic skill. And then, but first time ever, the professor gave us brief, do whatever you want. And then around that time, I started questioning about why I could imagine certain objects, and then if I could create that in front of me, and then so what? And then, but I wanted to create something I can't even imagine with my head. So this was my attempt. Like I chopped so many box section, and then just welded, MIG welded, basically without any idea, like my drawing. Then this is my degree work. I was totally confused, but kind of these pieces became really central. I already have this kind of conceptual core at university time, if I look back. So basically, uncontrollable beauty through repetitive welding, and all sort of components made by my hand, and then that represents of individual components. And then after graduation, I basically lost a little bit, and professor in the crafts course said what I doing was sculpture, fine art. And then, so I've been encouraged to apply for MA sculpture course. And then at the interview of this sculpture course, all the professors surrounded me said what I was doing was crafts. And then, so I felt lonely. No one wants me. No one wants me in their group. Okay, so I have to maybe get the job and then head down and save money, and then just give myself time a little bit to think what I'm going to do. And then I took a job, full-time job in fabricator. And then that was probably the most practical decision I ever made, because you can earn money and learn skill too. So then during that time as well, at the same time, I start researching abroad, German and Italian, United Kingdom, United States, all these metalwork, contemporary metalwork scene. I start researching, and then I was so excited to find out in the late 90s that this is UK Crafts magazine, and the front page was Anne Kathleen Evans, who is actually Welsh. This is total coincidence. She actually lived across there. And then her door knocker was on the front page. And then I realized, oh, this contemporary blacksmithing scene does exist. And I really wanted to go there. Then I came to UK. So that was, London. I enrolled to London, Cambridge College of Art, and that was silversmithing and metalworking course. Basically, I saved up all the money from fabricator job, but I didn't have enough money to go to MA course. That was 3 times more expensive. So I redid that BA for some reason. And then this course was amazing because I was quite overwhelmed by the difference between Japanese and UK education style, and especially on the assessment. In Japan, you make objects and you put on the table, and the tutor came and assessed that final outcome. But UK, it's they often said to me, you don't have to finish the object. They want to know is the thinking process, test pieces and sketchbooks, and conceptual development is much more important that time. Okay, so then I was actually discouraged to be in the forging room, and then even that's my passion. I love making. I've been told off, just go to the library or research. And then this is like just before dawn of the internet era. So I was physically in the library researching books. Then my research I decided to focus on was my work or my drawings consist of lots of repetitive sort of action. So then when I do repetitive action, I always feel good, meditative. So I researched a little bit about it for my dissertation. So basically, we got 2 brains, and the frontal brain is we use for the daily basis for processing domestic sort of information. And the small brains are more motor skill, and once you practice repeat the same action, you store these action memory, motor memory, into small brain. So like it's playing piano or driving car, in the beginning you use all sorts of parts of brain, and then you really exhaust. But once you get the technique, your frontal brain is actually free. And then I really fascinated by that. Then so I learned like these synapses, like it's a stretch every time you stimulate some certain action, and then it's like a muscle. You can train these synapses, and then our output as action, you can deliver certain skill, and then in a specific way. And I was really fascinated by that. So I realized crafts, music, sports, anything based on practice-based subjects is actually very similar. So, and I then, straight after the graduation, I decided to pursue these repetitive components. And then it sort of, on a daily basis, I start making this, it's more like a sport, isn't it? Like almost like a jogging before long marathon. I start forging loads of components. This is called propagation series. I started in 2000. It's about table sculpture. From this, I got loads of images, by the way. It's about watermelon size table sculpture. Each component is steel, mild steel, hand forged from various size, various gauged rods or square bars or wire. And then when I assembling probably 80% of the making process is dominated by forging components. And then I absolutely love it. It's lots of people say like I must be mad, but like listening amazing music on the headphone, and your head is basically totally free when you're forging. And then when you start welding, the components is also repetitive. And then, but I don't have any design beforehand. And then often some shape just appear in front of me. Then sometimes, oh no, what have I done? And then sometimes I put these units, kind of half-grown objects on the side, and then a couple of years later came back to it and go back to it and start adding the components. And sometimes these pieces often became the one of the best piece I ever made and stuff. So I made I don't know how many this series, but it's still ongoing series. And then I normally make probably 6 pieces like this from this series every year. And every piece has I got very significant sort of a memory or task to achieve. Like this is, one before was the horizontal piece. This one is a ring piece. It's collected by British Museum, because that time Japan Fukushima had a big earthquake, and then I watched it on the I was listening radio in my workshop in Wales, and then I heard the news, and I just dashed back into the house, and I watched the television, and then it was every channel showing the live footage of it, and then I was shocked of the violence of a visual, because okay, it's a really far angle, but camera, if you look closely, there's a car that tried to escape from the big wave, and then absolutely made me sad, and I nearly smashed the TV, but I switched off, and then I walked off and back to the studio. I started forging, and then thinking of just can I make something, not commemorating anything. I just wanted to make prayer. So in the Buddhism in Japan, it's a ring is a symbol of infinity, just never ending loop. And so I decided to make ring piece, which I ever made it before, and then created the big wave, runs through, twisted through the ring, and then decorated with flower to give prayer to the victims. And then so this is a Adrian Sassoon, who became my sole dealer since 2004, I think. And then he's amazing. I met him through Chelsea Cross Fair, and then he started dealing with my work to sell. So I'm very, very fortunate, one of the artists, I don't have to deal with these things anymore. I send my work, and then they look after, take photograph, and then wrap and ship and find the home for my work. So all my work, all I have to do is just work in countryside. So this is, so you can, my work can be very, very heavy. This is about 40 centimeters, about that much, size, but it's very, very heavy. It could be like about 40, up to 50 kilogram. And you can see like just a tiny tip of the spike is holding the whole weight. But this is the brilliant things about metal, because it's strong. You can hold, metal can hold a weight like that. But if you got very expensive furniture, I don't recommend to put my work on it. Yes, so these pieces still carry on. You can see some of them has like a very dialect influence from natural natural objects or plants or something like that. Especially this one, I was kind of swimming in the sea, which is very cold down there. It's then I found kelp forest, which is like a vertically growing, floating, beautiful sort of line of seaweeds, and then that was kind of idea. And then there's loads of creature live in the forest. It's absolutely stunning. So that was inspiration for that. So this is kind of wind the clock back a little bit, and after graduation, no, after start doing this propagation series, I kind of exhibited a couple of gallery, but obviously I don't know, but it didn't sell basically. And then so I was very, very poor. I nearly needed to go back to Japan, and then luckily I got grants from British Crafts Council to stay, and then I became artist resident in Liverpool Hope University. And then so amazing, basically. Liverpool people are so nice. Like living in London and then moved to northwest UK was quite shocking, like how people are different and quite friendly and try to help me all the time. And then so access to the facility was almost 24 hours, 365 days. The security guy always looking after me, checking me every hour. And then so I became really workaholic. And then one advice from Crafts Council, the one day business advisor came to visit, and then she said, like, can you make like something smaller but still a little bit hint of function? Then I came up with this idea. I was in a vegetable market, and then I saw this beautiful Thai red chilies, and I was looking at that one single chili, and I thought it looks like my spike of steel. And then in my head, chili was propagating, taking over the planet. And then I thought, if I made this parts of basically vessel, like a flower vase, but the chili is actually part of the form rather than like a flower vase and flower stuck on it. So that was the idea. So this is about this big. How do you call it? It's 15 centimeter diameter. And then so sometimes I start collecting dried flower, and then sometimes the plants, especially this one, plants gave me the idea of the design. And then sometimes nothing to do with the shape. I just start playing with the plants. So it was quite fun. Just then when I show in the gallery, I could say it's a plants folder. And then so this is one was just before Chelsea Cross Fair, before I met Adrian Sassoon gallery. And so I was on my own. I got stand and setting up everything. And then in the last minutes, this business advisor from Crafts Council said, I should show these wall hanging, which is, I had a loads of this it's not test, like a leftover from big pieces. I never count how many components I need first, because I don't know what I'm making beforehand. So I had a lots of leftover components, just made a little wall hanging to then put little hook on the back, and then I have hundreds of them in my workshop, just for my research purpose and the collection. But this business advisor insists me, you got to sell this, and then otherwise, not many people can afford larger piece. So okay, I can do anything to survive. So I decided to exhibit these wall hangings at the same time with this flower vase and large sculpture piece too. So this is like a collection of 100, all the different design, different components. Yes, and then it was actually quite ironic, but this wall hanging, and then not ironic, yeah, business advice, so was correct, and then it became my bread and butter. And then and then this is silver, fine silver piece. I was artist residency in Liverpool Hope University then, and an amazing silversmith, Chris Knight, was one of the tutor there, and then he suggested me to sort of yeah, he asked me if I could do something in silver, and then I said, yeah, why not? Because luckily when I was welder, when I was in working fabricator, I've done all sorts of welding. So I could, in terms of welding, I was confident to weld anything. So he recommended me to write letter to Sheffield S office where the hallmarks issue. And then Sheffield S master said, you know, what you want. And then I said, oh, could you give me just material, silver rods, and then in return I use third of the material, and then they can have very fast silver piece in their collection. This picture is the very first silver piece I ever made. So it's all pure silver, all hand forged and TIG welded from inside. And then, so luckily I got like a really whopping, I can't remember how much, I think it was 12 kilogram silver rods arrive in Liverpool Hope University, and then start making these series. And then I kept 2/3 of the material, so I could keep going. Like every time I sold a silver piece, and then I bought silver in stock, and then so that this one was 2001, pretty much, no, 2001, yes. And then start doing almost parallelly, so the developing idea. And then so off from this point is really interesting, because this piece particularly, it's kind of twist is because silver is often cold forging, so I nail the piece and then hammer when it's cold, but steel is a hot forging when it's red. So I know of quite a few people do different way, but so when I start doing silver, I developed so many new shape, which silver was much easier to do. Like for example, this twist shape was, you know, without silver, probably I didn't come up with. Especially these punching texture things, and then it's very, very, you know, texture of punching through. It's very hard for in mild steel, but silver was quite achievable. So then this silver organism, I call it, and it became very important series of my practice now. And again, every single series, in a wall hanging called cell, an organism, vessel, and silver, it's all existence series. I still keep on developing new idea. And this is it's annual or biannual Schoonhaven award, silver award, which held in Holland. And then it was that year was the theme was poetry, and then I've been encouraged by Adrian Sassoon to submit this piece, and then so poetry is really interesting. But I thought poetry is poetry itself is already art form, so I really didn't want to use someone else's poetry and then make art from it for some reason. So I was more interested in how people make poetry, and especially Japanese shortest form of poetry called haiku. Haiku is consists of 17 sounds, syllables, and then I got inspiration of that. So if I made 17 variations of different components like this. And then it made, it was 100 gram each? Yeah, I think it was 100 gram each of the components. And then the present of early spring fever, which is the end of the winter. There's in the forest, deep forest floor, if you're walking through, you see this gush of new life start taking over the floor. That's probably the one of my favorite season. So I wanted to present because the haiku rule is actually you have to represent seasonal words within the poetry. So this is the result. And then this, it's called Spring Fever, Silver Poetry. It became one of the new series. And unfortunately, I didn't win. But famous Hiroshi Suzuki that year won, my amazing mentor. So anyway, so this is became a series. So all has 17 or 31 different variations. 31 is another version of the poetry called tanka. So so I kind of, since I start developing more different shape, different, you know, assembly. This is the ring. So this is kind of, maybe you may notice after I made that steel ring, I decided to make silver version of it. This is probably the smallest I could go. It's about lime size, size of lime diameter. And so you can see, you could just imagine like any shape, any size you could go, you know, could enlarge if I like. So this one is one of the largest ones so far, 11 kilogram on one piece. So just explaining why I live in North Wales. So after Liverpool, I moved to Manchester because Manchester had a larger artistic scene, and I could, you know, after artist residence, I had to find my own studio. So I lived in Manchester for about 7 years, and then I met husband John and joined a woodworker. So we wanted to have a land workshop. And then we realized the studio rent and the house rent is probably, if we moved out of the city, it will be cheaper. And then we have larger access to space. So I'm basically sitting in a cabin, guest cabin, in the yard, and you can see they're surrounded by cow field. It's absolutely nothing. There's no cafe to go. The nearest supermarket is you can't walk there. You have to drive 10 minutes. Then I love growing vegetable by myself, and so my husband building my own house, and then this is, so basically lifestyle itself becoming a little bit important for me. And then this is the beach. You can it's one of the nearest most beautiful beach we can access. And then Yusuke Yamamoto, another silversmith, recently, no, 5 years ago, moved to just across the field. Fantastic friends, and just caught the crab. So sounds really like a paradise, but North Wales is well known, quite lots of rain. So this is a flooding in our yard. And then really strong wind took entire studio roof 1 year when I was making the British Museum one, actually. And then my workshop became like a war site. Luckily, all the machine was okay because I put quickly typoring over it. But yes, but there's a very like really, the natural beauty out there out around me is unbelievable. And then since I start living here, it was 11 years ago, and I started noticing these odd growths in different surface of in nature. And then this is then I start using really wanted to be free from any conceptual things, and then I decided to make just directly inspired from natural objects. This is called lichen. It's like imagine like a rock, and then surface of a rock is covered by lichen or moss, and if you remove the rock, I thought the skin of lichen remaining, so that was an inspiration. So this called Uncontrollable Beauty series, and then just something in a natural world, just a slightly odd parts of nature, I kind of that they caught my eye. I start collecting other images and then start get inspired directly from it. And then, so this is a hydrangea, but I always love not from blossom term. It's a slightly decay autumn, late autumn hydrangea is my favorite. And so that's kind of wanted to present. And this is actually crowd, it's not plants. And I just wanted to challenge if I made a very thin disc punch through the surface, the disc, and it's a 0.4 mil thick disc, and then it's all punched through it, so light you can see through it. And this is 100 flower buds and flower head and buds, and it's all made in the same component, ball pointy one and petals, but it's all assembled in a unique way. And these pieces, actually the petal has a little imprint of plants. This one is heaviest and largest ever made. It's about 12 kilogram, and then diameter is 0.5 meter. Diameter is very, very big. And because of the weight, I have to create quickly the support inside. And then that became a little bit of feature. It's like a cave tree growing inside of a cave. I absolutely love it. And then, as you can see, the light sees through it, through the punched fall. So, yeah, the photographer played a little bit with it. Then after that, I start preparing my solo exhibition in Bath, Holborn Museum. And behind the museum building, there's a massive park. Then when I'm walking through it, I realize these are oddly grown, absolutely massive trees. Probably one of my dreams is actually going to west coast of America, going to see this massive, red cedar, stuff like that. And but I realize that, if you walk in Hyde Park in London, for example, and it's actually quite odd. It's really not natural because it's all other areas is lawn, and then I just quite started interested in the kind of weird balance between controlled nature by human. Then my husband, woodworker, saying, Junko, have you ever heard copy sing? It's like an ancient woodland technique, especially hazelwood and stuff. They just chop the tree to close to the base, and then they shoot gushing out. Basically, the root system think they are juvenilized, like it became young, so they kind of start shooting, and then so that was kind of really the trigger of me. Then I wanted to represent this bizarre vital force of nature, whatever human do, kind of try to grow back. There's a few sketches, very rough sketches, and then I wanted kind of sort of almost to transfer that energy by hammering texture onto very thin rod, and then really densely TIG welded together to the core of the piece. And then I try to represent this winter time and spring and autumn. I haven't made a winter, no, autumn, spring. summer is missing. Okay, I have to think about it. And anyway, so these pieces made for my solo exhibition, which I developed through researching the museum, the venue of the solo exhibition. And it became Coppice Wood series, and I'm still developing new ideas. Then that, sorry, time, 40 minutes past, I have to be quick. Okay, so this is Chatsworth House, Duke of Devonshire's library, which I'm being invited to research, really luckily. And then it's absolutely fantastic. It's old books, especially traveling and natural botanical horticultural book was absolutely incredible. And then I start researching these wood block prints and hand colored. Absolutely, each page is hand colored. It's incredible. And then since I actually quite obsessed with it, and then I got I took lots of pictures, still digesting the imagery and idea these unknown artists created, and then through research of that Chatsworth House, I really got inspired to create some chandelier. So this is a kind of mock-up sketch, not even sketch, this is actually collage of these botanical drawing. And then if I sort of transfer into blacksmithing, in making some steel parts within steel, be really interesting. That's what I thought. So this is the result. So since I made about, how many? I can't remember, 5 or 6 of them. So then in 2020, last year, so obviously COVID-19 pandemic start, and then I really wanted to make modern version and a larger version of this chandelier. So I worked with Tyson Lighting Company in North West England, and then this is a quite high-tech LED dimmable, Bluetooth dimmable switch, or all sorts of things. And then this is actually not hot photoshopped. It's actually hung literally by cherry picker. The local firm, Chris, helped me, fantastic guy, blacksmith as well. And then so this is a result. And then this is not even commissioned, so it's stuck in my studio still. I don't know where it's going. And then this is my I was doing this master lesson class things with very important Clive Barr silversmith in Goldsmith Centre in London. And then he introduced me. Goldsmith Centre has an amazing tool left behind by generations of goldsmiths, lived in London. And this is a really tiny parts of punch. They got thousands of those handmade punch in there. And then I was just playing on the copper sheet. And then I realized, because I grow vegetables, and then I realized, oh, they look like a plant seed scattered on the plates. And then that's triggered me to make this little beakers, because that time I was quite fascinated with antiseptic property of silver. And then I discovered all medical equipment used to be in silver, like a medicine cup and medicine spoon. So then I linked with British hedgerow. Hundreds of natural plants got actually medicinal property. So I chosen 25 most commonly used medical plants. This is a seed and pots, microscopic images, and I designed of. Then I made this punch by myself, and then decorated on the silver beaker. The design of beaker is based on most common medicine cup. So yes, these are randomly punched so each beaker has very different patterns and, you know, all unique. So straight after that, I got commissioned by Silver Trust, who is in charge for making silver items for 10 Downing Street. When I visited that site, I struck by the black and white aesthetic. The house is black, door is black, and then the foyer was black and white marble checkered floor. And then I really fascinated by the fact of black and whiteness, and I realized I never combined steel and silver together. So I've been asked to make something sculptural, like a central table centerpiece. So I decide to be free, just make something what I want. So I go back to my botanical drawing, and then he presented this 10 different idea. Then we picked 4 more strong idea. Then these are the design. You can see a very direct influence from horticultural drawings. These are the 4 pieces I made for the 10 Downing Street. So now it's a collection for Goldsmith's company now. And then again, this called Botany series became series, and I'm still developing idea. So basically combined with steel and silver. Also, this bottom base shape is actually patinated bronze. So aesthetically black and white, but there's a lot of hidden patinated black bronze in the piece. And then another passion of my life is giving children opportunity to, this is my husband invented pedal power bundle, and it just pop-up workshop like this. We've been started only actually 4 years ago, and then just nearby in this is a very close farm, you know, beautiful lady Daloni lending us the land to do these events. And then because nowadays kids health and safety issue, I have no clue. It's maybe this is just UK, but like they've been given blunt scissor because they shouldn't cut fingers. And then, but so they breed of put by crafts and making things. So I thought, okay, let's let them do like a real material, like this is a copper metal making, and the press prints, and this is a, you know, 10 years old making silver rings. Then we showing how to sharpen knives, and then Yusuke Yamamoto showing silver chasing. These are all local people, so local countries and many farmers. And then so this is a gang. We, you know, all the silversmith makers get together, and then, you know, showing our world of making. So I want to carry on. Last 2 years we couldn't do it because of the obvious reason, but we love to carry on. So this is the latest commission I've done for Goldsmith Company. And then last year they the story began, and it's basically, I think I got COVID. That's March 2020 after attending TEFAF Maastricht, which is probably one of the most biggest art fair. And then all Adrian Sassoon, my gallery team, didn't get it. It's only me had it. Then I was really shocked, and then I was in bed about 3 weeks, and then I ended up so question myself, my immune system, and then realize immune system is amazing. Basically, there's a lots of immune cell working together to protect from bugs and antigens. And then I realized there's so many microbes under the soil. It's very similar. They are almost very social organism, and they collaborate together.
Junko, we're running just a little behind.
Sorry.
Just giving you just a heads up.
Okay, so this is the last bit. So basically we realized, I realized so many things was suppressing my immune system that time I got COVID. Then Goldsmith Company asked me to make something commemorate or this event. So then the curator saw these pieces and then asked me to make coronavirus, but I didn't want to offend anybody. So then I realized basically maybe this is a time to focus on immunology. So this is a Sava Alzaving, the doctor and immunologist, and advising me about sort of a fact-based immune system. And then I was quite intrigued by antibody. So this is an idea. And then so I made this wax model of a virus and then build these wax of antibody. And then, sorry, quick. And then you build around, basically lock the virus, which actually antibody does to stop virus to propagate. So that was a very important key element of design. So that's the last bit, images. And then this piece is actually displayed in Goldsmith's company in London right now. So if you, until I think next spring. So please, if you are nearby. And so I'm on Instagram. Okay, if you can want to have a look more work, go on that. Probably Instagram is probably the best to see the latest what I'm doing. Sorry, it's so long. Thank you very much. Oh dear.
That was awesome. It's the second time I've seen it, and thanks for being just getting in there and doing it up. I'm going to hold most of the questions, I think, till the next one because we need to get out. But I have a really quick question you can answer very, very quickly. Okay. Do you ever, do you ever worry about the silver elements tarnishing because you've got such a white and dark, black and white thing going on? So just real quick, do you worry about that?
Yes. So some people, one of the very first collector left tarnished. It looks like a caramel color now, and then so it's quite amazing. Some people don't mind that, but I recommend people to use silver dip simply. And then if anybody wants serious screening, I accept it, and then I do the heat, the heating up, and then dip into the sulfuric acid and stuff like that. But
so you probably prefer it not to be oxidized.
I have a couple of pieces actually I left completely tarnished, and I just said probably I would never touch it until I die.
Well, so, hopefully that's not too soon. And so listen, I don't want to cut you off, and this was really beautiful, but I have more questions which I'm absolutely going to ask at the panelist thing. So I'll see you in a couple of hours, few hours, whatever that is. And everybody else, we're gonna sign off. And at 11 sharp, we're coming back with Matt Lambert. So I'll see you all in about 8 minutes or 6 minutes. Thanks, Junko.
Thank you, Andy.